When should I start to talk to my kids about sex? Now, this is a question I always get when I do podcasts or public speaking. Everybody wants to know when's the right time. And in this little snippet I took out from one of my webinars, I'm sharing with you when to start. And go and click the subscribe button if you want more, or register for my webinar down below. I've got a recorded version of my webinar, so you're welcome to go and listen to that. Now let's first jump in and listen, and then I'll give some comments at the end. So when should we start? Okay, now start the talk, start the dreaming. I start early with the dreaming, as early as they can understand about how relationships work. But when we start with our children, it's important that your child know what sex is before they go to preschool. Okay, there they are exposed to other children that have older brothers and sisters. You don't have the primary influence over their lives anymore. So it's important that you start the talk first. When you start first, you are the main source of information. So that's very important, because when you are the main source of information, or the talk first, your child knows, oh, my parents have spoken to me about that. They've got good answers. I can ask my mom. So when you are setting yourself up as, oh, we don't talk about that, we don't go there, like they say in that little video clip, or no, just stop it, or you change the subject, your child is going to find out about sex from a friend or from Google. So do you really want your 8-year-old to hear from Google, or from a friend, or from you? And if you want to start positive with a positive conversation, you need to bring up the conversation. You need to set the stage. So you need to bring that up first. So typically on the when your child is 6-7 years old, I would say, have you ever heard the word sex before? If your child is extremely innocent and saying no, in English I would say, that is when it's a male and a female. Now I know that's not sex, but start there if you're too uncomfortable to go into the details. Now they don't need to know the penis going to the vagina when they're 6-7 years old, but they need to know if they have questions they can come to mom. And then you be sensitive to your child's maturity and age. And then if you need coaching and need guidelines, contact me, I'll help you there. Because we can't just say by the age 6 or by the age 8, you need to explain exactly what's happening. It depends on your child's maturity. It depends on your child's exposure to other people. It depends on your child's vulnerability and things that he has been exposed to maybe in the past that might be too sensitive for him to hear. But what you can control is if you bring the topic up and say, you are welcome to ask me any questions. I will always be truthful in my answers. Okay. So one thing that I didn't share in this little piece of webinar, I didn't explain to you that you can actually start as early as 2 years old to start to talk to your kids about sex. And the thing is, maybe the wording isn't right. Talk about sex when they are 2. I'm not sure how to say it better, but it's actually we're laying the foundations when they are already 2 years old. Now, how do we do that? We start talking and using the right, correct words for their body parts. This is a very important step for me if you still have young kids. Because if you do that, you are becoming comfortable. It's more important for you to be comfortable than when your kids are young, because then you set yourself up for success later. So if your child already knows mom is not afraid to say the correct words for my body parts, it becomes easier to talk about the more difficult things down the line as they get older. So normally what we do is just when they are taking a bath, when they're still young, you say, wash your face, wash your vagina, wash your legs, wash your toes. Just use the right words. And that's important so that they understand that's just one part of their body. Now, it is natural to talk about all the body parts, okay? It is natural, and the thing is, we make it a very big deal, all right? When it comes to sex and our sexuality, it's a spiritual experience and a physical experience, so it is a big deal. But we make too big a deal of it when they are young, so that we can't talk about the hard stuff when it's later. So let's just talk about the body parts as normal is. But what I do normally say is we talk about it. It is one of the natural parts, but it is a little bit more special than the rest of your body parts. And we're going to talk about that more as they grow older. So don't be afraid if you use the right parts. And my child, they actually ask, why do people call it other funny names? It's because then I will give the explanation. Well, it is not socially polite to use those words in social settings, but I want you to know that's right words. And it's important, it's a special part of your body that we're going to discuss more as you grow older. It's just a 1 little minute conversation. And I think we overthink it so much that we get ourselves into a difficult situation because we overthink things. Kids are just, they are being kids. And if they have questions, say, wow, that's a good question. And make an appropriate time to give them answers to that. If they ask a good question and you're scared to answer, you can say, I'll get back to you with that question, and then find some resources, get some information on how to appropriate answer your child, and then go back to them and give them an answer. Now, remember, go back. I find that children ask, and then I said, wow, that's a good question. They say, yes, I asked my mom, but she didn't want to give me an answer. And then they go and Google it. So don't be shy to go back and say, listen, it bothered me. You asked that question, I never got back to you. I've got the answer for you. If you need more answers on how to answer that, click my link below. I've got my Let's Explain the Talk Parent program for you on how to say, what to say, when to say, and that might be helpful for you to get started on that. If your child have you in the corner, I also have coaching groups and private coaching packages if you want to chat and see how we can handle it better. So reach out, there's help out there, and thanks for listening.